No problem at all. Thank you. Next up, Alicia, welcome to the stage. And not yet, but I'm sure we will in a moment. No, nope. Ollie, if we
Hi.
got...
Oh, I'm back.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for
Welcome
having
aboard.
us today.
Thank you
Or
very
me
much.
today. Our team. Hi, everyone. I wanted to start by saying I thought when picking my topic today that I was going to be unique. I've learned today that the theme has been quite consistent. We are very much focused on identity being a people issue right now, or challenge for us right now. And so our topic, while I thought it was going to be explaining something fresh here at the end of the day, I've changed my slides so that I can try and align with what we've been hearing through the day, because it's been so relevant for me, and I hope that this will be the same for you. So I'll work my way through here. So yes, Alicia Wheatley, I am a product manager at a company called Gathered. At Gathered, it's spelled the way an Aussie would say gathered, but so we pronounce it Gathered. So Gathered is an identity and access modeling solution. So we have a graph database that allows you to bring in data from different systems and visualize it, much like this image here. I appreciate someone else pointed to the image on the wall, where you can create a visual, a three-dimensional view of your identities and their access. And the reason that that is important is because when we put people in the center of our identity and access, and we can start to see what they're connected to, even the stuff that's not typically connectable, like if we're talking operational technology, we're talking physical access, we can talk about assets, we can bring it all together now in a nice view. Now, the reason that I was drawn to that is my role previously to being a product manager was as a business analyst and a project manager, helping to do change within our organizations, helping them to build these projects and run these teams that implement security and implement change throughout these organizations. And what I learned through that period of time is that we need to advocate for our business in order to make our solutions successful. So I'm going to just go through, sorry, I didn't realize that wasn't the main slide there. So yes, so we're all about advocating for the business. We're all about our non-technologists, as someone called it. I really appreciated that term. And really focusing in on our function within our projects and with our teams. So as we start out in a new identity and access management implementation, we're often focused on the technology that we're implementing. We're often focused on who are my stakeholders, where am I going to start, how am I going to prioritize this project? But that's changed. And I don't know if it's been great seeing all the timelines throughout today. I've really enjoyed them. But in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, it's changed from being about our projects to being about the solution and how we're implementing these solutions. So now we are needing to get into a more human-centric operations. So we need to be sort of decentralizing identity from within our core IT and cyber teams and putting it into our processes and understanding how our users are going to be using this technology and how important it is for them and for their processes. So I wanted to gauge a little poll of who here is right now implementing an identity and access management project. Beautiful. Excellent. Who here is in their first year of identity and access? Okay. How about like 5 years? We've been deploying this thing, it's been going along, and we're now opting to operationalization, we're moving along. We've heard a lot about the vendor leaving and that concern within the business throughout the day, and I feel like it's good to gauge where people are up to, because that helps me to then gauge who I'm working with here. So I think what I'd like for you to do is also think about how you're measuring those successes. So it's important that we're embracing and memorizing like where we're up to in our processes, because that allows us to reflect and know where we're going to be moving forward to. So when we talk about measuring our success, we're often looking at audits. You know, are we doing user access reviews for compliance? Have we got our controls and our systems? How much coverage are we actually getting within our audits? Are our ticketing systems reducing? Do we have less shadow IT? Like our measuring needs to change. And so this is really something that I want you guys to be thinking about. Our business, we want frictionless joiners, movers, and leavers process, and that's really where automation comes in, right? We want to automate when people are onboarding, when they change roles. We need to know what they need for each of their job roles as they move throughout our business. And then when they leave, we want to make sure that they are off-boarded, that they no longer have access to these assets and physical cards and being able to log on to their accounts and make changes and so forth. So this frictionless process is not something that we can completely automate, but we need to start bringing visibility to their world. This is no longer an IT problem or a cyber problem or a security problem. This is a people problem, and they're going to keep changing and moving around our business. So while it comes down to, of course, finance and the board and everybody else being happy, we also need happy users. We need them to be a part of our identity journey as they're moving throughout their work. So how do we do that? I guess when we talk through a typical process, we start with, we have our awareness, we include people, we talk about our successful identity and access management endeavor and what that looks like. We have great technology, so many different types of technologies that are helping us. And I missed the stat. I feel like it was like 87% of something were user credential-based breaches or something. That's crazy, right? So we've got all these technologies, these wonderful that are working, but we're still getting hacked. So what's missing? Well, we've got well-designed solutions. Everything's going great. And I'm trying to think about this slide and put it into more. I'm terrible with analogies. I'm sorry. I love that there were some great analogies today, but I'm really bad at them. But recently, I have 2 young children, and it was Easter just now, right? So we've just had the Easter Bunny come, and a year ago they were 5 and 6. So the Easter Bunny came, and we hadn't sort of preset the rules on the eggs and the eating of the chocolate thing. So they came out and there's eggs, and they ate the eggs, and then they were like, oh, and then they hid the eggs around their rooms so that I wouldn't see them. They've got these secret eggs around everywhere, and a couple of hours pass and they're suddenly not feeling so well. And a couple of weeks pass and we're finding Easter eggs like in our melting bedrooms, and like we live on the Gold Coast, so it's warm there at Easter time. And it was just, for me, it was such a great analogy to when we're talking about like hiding, like shadow IT and hiding access, right? Like if nobody knows, it's going to be okay. But hey, if I get too much, where's the control? How am I going to know the rules? So my husband and I, over the last, now that they're 6 and 7, right, we've learned from the last year, we have to start teaching them about, looking after themselves and perhaps eat some food before you eat all the chocolate eggs, or like have dessert and so forth. So we've implemented these new rules into our family life that only just this Easter we both really celebrated, because what we found was they woke up this Easter and they saw the Easter eggs and they collaborated. They talked to each other and they're like, hey, look, eggs, like, should we eat them? You know what they did? They made themselves smoothies. And then they had some rice crackers, and then they had just 3 eggs. They thought, look, we'll control ourselves. We'll have a couple of eggs. Mum and Dad will wake up. We'll have brekkie, and then we'll have some more eggs later. And they self-managed. They had these controls. They're like 6 and 7 now. And they knew what to do to keep themselves safe. They knew what to do to make good choices. And I feel terrible relating back to business, but it's the truth. If we include them in this process, if we build out the processes in place, that it becomes repetition, it becomes a collaboration, not just within their silos of individual thinking, but if they start sharing ideas and making plans together within our business, we have a lesser, harder time of being able to convince our business to make better choices. So, like I said, terrible with analogies, but that one really stood out to me recently. But I truly, I wanted this slide to be like the hero slide, but it feels like everybody's been saying the same thing. Humans and people and our business are the unsung heroes of identity access management. Empowering our team to foster innovation and to collaborate is how we get them to start thinking about identity, and how we start getting them involved in their solutions, right? We can create a culture of ownership that will drive our compliance and drive our successes. So the key, I guess, to sort of round it out, I hope, in the next just 2 more slides, is that if we embrace collaboration, and if we consider solutions that are flexible enough to incorporate their processes and their goals, and if they're a part of deciding what is appropriate and not appropriate for the organization, and they see laterally throughout their business how it impacts others and how it's part of their role, I believe we're going to have a much stronger future as we continue through. So continue to build those open channels of communication, building trust, and implementing tools so that they can seamlessly coordinate and share knowledge and also celebrate the wins as they're working through it. So yeah, I'm just going to check my notes because I feel like, yeah, so one of the things that I want to really call out there though is when we're deploying identity and access management solutions, it can't be something that we bring into one centralized place, in that we're never going to get full automation, right? That has to be, I can't imagine a world where we achieve that. So that's why it really becomes about creating visibility, getting them to want to be a part of that identity and access solution, having them reach out and say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm being secure here, that the team becomes then their thought leaders, right? They're a part of doing their typical business, and then they're like, actually, I want to just double check that this is the appropriate way for me to proceed with procuring this system, or adding this identity, or removing this access. So we become thought leaders rather than people driving those changes in our businesses. I think that's the key part here around the collaboration piece. And then when we talk about training is no longer about how to work an application. It's no longer a click here, go there, much like we saw earlier in the day around the help guide of creating different links. It's no longer about that. It's actually about the essence of why you're doing the work. It needs to be about instilling their awareness into how they maintain compliance in their operational processes. If we can teach our business to pause and to self-regulate, and to also celebrate their successes throughout their own individual operations, we will gain a compliant, more secure enterprise. So yeah, I feel like these slides are really sort of rounding out what we've heard today. By celebrating success and learning from our past failures, and enabling our business to join us along the journey, we will become a more secure identity. Our identities will be more secure because they will have learned and they will have ingrained it within their own workforce and their own processes. So in conclusion, we're empowering people, refining processes. It'll allow us to unlock not only project potential, but potential within our business and making our organisation stronger. So today, let's work together. Let's learn from today. It's been so interesting to see the drive here. So I'm very keen to see next year where we get to and what that means for us all in the interim. But yes, let's embark on this noble quest toward triumph and prosperity within our business. But no, honestly, if we break it all down, the end of a project, the end of an identity access management implementation should not feel like an end. It actually just should feel like a continuation, because you've built the solution based on their existing processes, their existing decisions. You've empowered them and your business to do identity access as part of their typical role. It's part of their ingrained processes now. And so that is really a key for us, is that it's about selecting technologies that help to support existing business process, and that's how we achieve the unlocking of identity and access management projects and push them back out into our business, helping our businesses to be successful. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you.
We do have time for questions for Alicia, if anyone's got a question.
Everyone's ready for drinks. You have a question?
Hi, Alicia. Thank you very much for your talk. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot too much. This might just be a thing to think about. But looking at measuring success for bringing people along the journey with you in your organisation, as you know, that's partly what I'm trying to do myself. But if for myself, I'm in a cyber team, and I would love to be able to measure the cultural change that I'm working so hard to bring about in my company.
Yeah.
But you get your 1 year peer achievement review and whatever. So what suggestions do you have in making it measurable for
Brilliant.
KPI?
Brilliant question. So we're looking at qualitative and quantitative results, right? We're going to find out how many people are using these applications, what is my success rate with regards to my joiners, movers, leavers process, how long it takes to onboard, am I monitoring my roles as people move throughout my business, are my leavers being offboarded in time? I think another great one is, do I have business personnel that understand who has access to their assets? Do I have business personnel asking to add their app to our tool so that it can provide that data back to your team and to the board so that they can show that they're being secure and that they show that they're continuing to make identity a priority within their business?
How are you capturing those statistics?
Look, I think there could be various ways. I'm trying not to do a product pitch right now, but it's very much about like you have tools in place that show who is accessing what, right? Ideally, that's the goal. My identities and what they have access to. And when you can track where there were maybe, 400 identities and now there's 236, you've got a timeline where you can actually demonstrate that my processes are effective. You could do it through ticket numbers, perhaps, like the amount of tickets that are being processed versus how much automation is in place versus how many emails are being sent to service desks to have stuff removed. Like, I feel like we have so much data and we're just not utilizing it efficiently enough for our reporting and to start telling these stories back to our managers and our execs. I think that's does that make sense? Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
I think we'll all remember today the analogy of, especially those of us that are parents, so shadow IT and leftover access is like a melted Easter egg
totally
hidden
is.
in the corner of a child's room.
Right?
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, guys.
Or another round of applause for Alicia, please, folks. Ben, can I get you to come up to the stage?